We were pretty famous back in high school. Trust us!
Had a whole future ahead of us, but now we suck.
All that potential now is flowing in the aqueducts.
Through the sands of time, many did forget.
But now our time has come to resurrect. But a podcast.
Sad I know, but can you blame us?
We are desperate to be much more than high school famous.
Hello and welcome to High School Famous, the podcast where we're gonna do some stuff. We need to come up with a new opening.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah,
we do.
Perfect. Cool. That being said, we'll do that at some point. It might not be next episode or any episode there following, but
Are you my phone doesn't seem to want to let me go to complete zero volume. It just wants to.
Can you hear yourself a little bit?
I can hear you and me like this tiniest amount and echo, but so I mean, I'll get used to it. I don't think it'll show up on this, but
it shouldn't. Yeah. All right. Well, so we've technically been recording episodes for a little over a year now. We didn't start releasing until January, but we started recording in, was it early October?
I think it was early October. Yeah.
Okay. So the third episode we ever released, we did some, we talked about some bad horror movies because it was around Halloween time. This episode is the last episode before Halloween hits. So we decided to, well, unless we would have recorded next Sunday, which is Halloween, but it wouldn't get released until a couple days after. So we decided to keep the tradition going, and we're going to talk about some more bad horror movies. Last time I just brought some to Sean. This time I think we both brought a few to talk about. Possibly. We'll see. Depending on how many we actually get to as well. But figured we could do that, kind of revisit some bad horror movies because it's the Halloween season, so why not? I don't know. Yep. I don't know what else to say about that.
That's what we're doing.
Yep.
Yeah.
Cool.
So
I've got like three picked out here. I kind of read up on two of them. I haven't really read up on the other one yet. One I think one's got a very short plot description.
Okay.
So we'd be able to burn through it pretty quickly, I think. The other one's a little bit longer. Both I feel are fairly ridiculous concepts for movies.
Yeah, I have three titles I wrote down. They didn't seem super
good,
entertaining to pick on, but I mean, we'll see how it goes.
All right, so I guess the question is, do we want to start off potentially bad with nothing to make fun of, or do we start? I mean, who knows if any of mine will be that entertaining to make fun of? Anyways,
let's just go with our titles. We'll see if we doubled up on anything.
Okay.
So I was going to do, since you and I made a movie so many years ago that we talked about on a previous episode called Saturday the 14th, I thought I would look up. There is a real movie called Saturday the 14th, but that happens to be a spoof movie. It's spoofing horror movies from like the 30s and 40s. So it's already a spoof movie. So I disqualified that as something we could talk about today.
Gotcha. That would be interesting to look at some point, though.
It would, yeah, but not
considering
for this
considering we made a spoof horror movie without ever knowing that spoof horror movie existed, and it's the exact same title. It's kind of entertaining. When did that because that came out
80? I think it was 81. I think.
Oh Jesus! So it even came out before we were born.
And there's a sequel called Saturday the 14th Strikes Back.
I like our title better.
Saturday the 14th, the second.
Yeah, I thought that was way better.
Yeah, I like it. I like it way better too. It kind of makes me think of they just announced recently that Mel Brooks is going to be making for Hulu. I'm not sure if it's a movie or a little series, but History of the World Part 2.
Oh, he's finally
that's actually happening.
Doing it. Oh wow.
Yep. But that's actually not what I was thinking of. There's a movie called I forgot that there's a separate movie called something like World War III 2 or something like that, where there's a there's a number in the title followed by it's a sequel number. I forget what it's called. Something like that.
But there hasn't even been a World War 3-1.
That might not be what it's called. It might not be
Okay.
World War III. I just remember some funny title for something that had two numbers in a row, kind of like Saturday the 14th, the second, only.
What if it was like World
something
War II, the first, or something?
Well, that could be World War II,
the first World War.
What? World War II, the
know,
first World War?
That would have me hooked instantly. I'd be like, okay, I need to know what the hell is going on here. Like, how does that work?
Oh, what do we got here? Can you name a baseball player for an edit, please? Ken Griffey Jr.
That's what somebody's asking you that?
Yeah, someone named Cardinals.
I don't even know what that means. What does that mean? Can you name a baseball player for an edit?
I don't know, but I'm going to name off some baseball players to see if they want to use it for an edit. Nolan Ryan. None of these are going to be current, by the way.
Yeah. When was the last time you watched any baseball that you know any actual players?
Kirby Puckett. Oh, wait, there's Joe Mauer. Joe Mauer.
Okay, I was going to say, name a living.
Sammy Sosa.
Name a current actual person that's still playing baseball at the moment.
Is Joe Mauer not playing baseball? Did he retire already?
Idea. I have no idea.
Derek Jeter. Is he still a baseball player?
I highly doubt it.
Oh. Okay.
Also, I will say hello. My sister said, "Hey, bro, it's your favorite sister."
Ooh.
I mean, that's a claim.
It is a claim.
Yep.
It's unwarranted, unfounded. It's not confirmed. Is it confirmed? Do you treat your sisters like do you treat your sisters as though they were your children? You cannot pick a favorite?
No, because if I treated them like they were my children, they would get scolded a lot more.
Hey, if you we have underneath the username, there's a number of likes. Is that for this live or is that for just the account?
I would assume this live.
Oh, for me it says
I have 0.
It says 110 for me.
Well, you are getting liked.
I guess. I don't know what's going on, but
we'll see. Hey, let's get back
we'll see
on
how
track.
TikTok works. Yeah, so I'll go through my titles. I'll go. Yeah, I just saw that comment. So my titles are Hobgoblins, Fear.com, which it's one word and it's FEARDOTCOM, and then Hood of Horror.
Okay.
I don't know if you've heard any of those.
I've heard of Fear.com. So that one's going to be obviously a much more probably recent horror movie than maybe some of the others.
I forget what year that came out.
It's going to be probably within the 2000s.
I think it might have been 2006, maybe. Okay. What are your titles?
The Giant Claw,
okay,
which came out in 1957.
Fear.com 2002.
Okay.
Okay, The Giant Claw 1957. Nice.
Night of the Lepus, which came out in 1972, and The Swarm that came out in 1978.
See, you might have gone a better direction than me.
I went with older, probably cheesier, bad, low budget, bad special effects. Movies that were all these movies were probably meant to be good, but
right.
the ones I picked are more so like laughably good.
Yeah.
Like they missed the mark. They missed the mark on being good horror movies and just hit the mark on being good like cult movies because of how ridiculous they are.
Gotcha. I noticed you're wearing headphones today. Is there a reason?
Because I did not necessarily want the audio to come back into the live.
Oh, yeah, that's a good point. Should I plug in my headphones to the
well, it all depends on if you give a crap about your live versus the podcast live.
I don't know. We'll see.
The only reason I stopped using headphones originally is because we were having your audio go into the thing that way. But
I like this. I like this look on live here where we can be side by side like that. Anyway, yeah. So let's start with one of yours. Maybe even end with one of yours and have one of yours in the middle. What do you say?
As in, hey, Matt, you're better at looking up horror movies than I am.
It seems to be. I found that one really good one that we talked about that has a bunch of sequels on one episode. But other than that,
well, and I guess for me, like the first time we did this, I literally just looked up a list and then let you pick which ones we wanted to talk about,
Yeah.
having really not a ton of knowledge about them ahead of time. This time, at least I kind of like tried to figure out if they would possibly be good. We kind of lucked out on that first time around of them all giving us some decent content, but we'll start. I have them in an order here that I think we'll start with. So we're going to start with the giant claw.
Okay, I like it.
Let me maneuver some stuff around here a little bit so I can read it while still seeing you. All right.
I'm not sure why this wouldn't let me, like, if I'm live on here, why would I want to hear myself echo back?
Yeah, I don't know.
I wonder if it is that who knows what it is. I don't care.
Well, yeah, you shouldn't be able to hear yourself. You should be able to hear me.
I hear you echoing. I don't think I hear myself.
Yeah. Okay. Because I say that would make no sense to it. Wouldn't make no sense to have you. Yeah.
I bet you it's so. I bet you that's why they won't let me go completely no volume, because then I wouldn't be able to hear. If I was live with you, I wouldn't be able to hear what you're saying. But I'm hearing you say it.
As far as I know, my phone's completely silent right now. But I also have headphones in, so I'm not really paying attention if there's sound coming out of my phone. All right. Enough of the technical issues, technical things. We are 12 minutes in. Let's get into this. Let's talk about the giant claw from 1957. There's a tagline that I want you to pay attention to that's on the poster for the movie. The tagline is "Winged Monster from 17 million BC."
Winged monster?
Winged,
like winged.
Yeah.
Winged monster from what?
From 17 million BC.
Wow. Okay.
So that's a little important because later on it says where this monster comes from, and that doesn't necessarily line up.
Oh.
All right. So it's a movie from, it's also known as, AKA The Mark of the Claw. So let's just jump right into this plot, shall we?
I'm jumping.
Oh, I'm surprised you didn't say I'm already in the air, because that's what you did last time.
Oh, well, I was at a different point of jumping.
I got to stop saying let's jump into things, because you always say something stupid.
I think I did once. Maybe during that same session I mentioned it a couple times, because you said it a couple times.
You did it twice.
Yeah.
All right. Mitch McAfee, a civil aeronautical engineer, while engaged in a radar test flight near the North Pole, spots an unidentified flying object. 3 jet fighter aircrafts are scrambled to pursue and identify the object, but one aircraft goes missing. Officials are initially angry at McAfee over the loss of a pilot and jet over what they believe to be a hoax. So I'm just trying to figure out why they're mad at him. Like, what does he have to do? Like, I guess because he called them in. It doesn't even say he says anything. He just says he spots one, and then it says jets were on their way.
So he spots the UFO. Jets are on their way.
Yep. Spots an unidentified flying object. 3 jet aircraft are scrambled to pursue and identify the object, but one aircraft goes missing. But they get mad at this dude because he spotted a UFO, and then one of their jets went missing. So I'm assuming he sees something, he calls it in, they scramble jets. One of the jets goes down, they get mad at him because they think he just made some shit up. All right, anyways. When McAfee and mathematician Sally Caldwell fly back to New York, their aircraft also comes under attack by a UFO. With their pilot dead, they crash land in the Adirondacks Mountains.
Adirondacks, I think.
Yeah, I always screw up how to pronounce that.
I think it's Adirondacks.
The Adirondack Mountains. So I just like that. Like, they come under attack, and now with their pilot dead, like, is their pilot dead because of the UFO attack or other reasons?
Are they assuming he's dead because is this the one that went missing?
No. So this is now, like, must be later on. Like, I mean, they don't really explain what happens between the original attack and that this McAfee and mathematician Sally Caldwell are flying back to New York now.
Oh.
I like how it's stated fly back to New York. Like did we start in New York and go somewhere else?
And then now we're going back? That, or, that's where they had to rendezvous once the mission either was completed or failed.
I'm confused by this already. All right, so they crash in the Adirondacks, where Pierre Broussard, a French-Canadian farmer, comes to their rescue and reports seeing a monster he calls Lacargany, probably. Carcagne.
H-G-N-E?
Yeah,
Kerrang?
Carcage. I don't know.
Kergang?
It's he calls it something French.
I'd have to I'd have to write it down to get a good look at it.
You want to write it down?
Yeah, sure. Go ahead.
Okay. First word L-A.
Mm-hmm.
Second word Carcagne.
Oh gosh, I don't know if it's
He calls it something French.
Carsang. Maybe the C is a soft
French,
C.
didn't you?
I did. A lot of it.
You took a lot of it. You took a lot of French.
Well, it's G-N-E. It's not N. Carcagne. You got me, dude. I don't know. I'm not going to try.
All right, cool. I think it's the only time we have to try for it, so I don't think they call it that after this part in the movie.
La Carcagne.
Perfect. It sounds more Italian.
How does champagne end? How does the word champagne end? Is it G-N-E just like this one?
Sure.
Because I remember what was that guy? Walken played him on SNL. He was the creepy guy that never let the woman out of the apartment. He kept saying champagne.
Yeah.
So I wonder if this is Carcagne or Carcane. Maybe it's just Carcane or Carsane.
Oh, maybe. We'll have to watch the movie.
Yeah, let's do that just to find this out.
It only has a 75-minute runtime, so.
Oh, that's it?
Yeah. All right. So he calls it this name, and then McAfee's report is met with bewilderment and skepticism. But the military authorities are forced to take his story seriously after several more aircraft disappear. This jumps around a lot.
Yeah.
So they crash. This French-Canadian farmer, I don't know why he needs to be labeled as French-Canadian, comes to their rescue.
Hello, Leland.
He comes to their rescue and tells them that he reports seeing a monster that he calls this name. And then all of a sudden, McAfee's reports are met with bewilderment and skepticism. So all of a sudden, they just jump to a completely different place. All right. Anyways, several more aircraft disappear. They discovered that a gigantic bird, as big as a battleship, in quotes,
wow,
purported to come from an antimatter galaxy. I don't know how they figured that out. They just found out this thing exists, and now they know it comes from an antimatter galaxy. So yeah, this it's responsible for all of the incidents. McAfee, Caldwell, Dr. Carol Neumann, who we're just finding out about, General Considine, and General Van Buskirk work feverishly to develop a way to defeat the seemingly invincible creature.
It seems to be that way.
Yeah. The climactic showdown takes place in Manhattan. This movie's jumping very quickly.
We're near the end.
Yeah, so there was an attack.
Yeah.
Then they're heading back to New York.
Yep.
Second attack. They find out what this French dude calls it. He reports it to the military. They're like, nuh-uh. And then they're like, uh-huh. Like immediately. And then they discover that it's a giant bird. Immediately figure out it's from an antimatter galaxy, and then work on trying to figure out a way to defeat it. And now we're on to the showdown. Like, this movie is flying, no pun intended. All right,
you intended that pun.
I didn't intend that. I said it, and then I was like, instantly, that sounds so stupid. The climactic showdown takes place in Manhattan when the gigantic bird attacks both the Empire State Building and United Nations Building, like at the same time, or
oh yeah. It's got a big reach.
Yeah, and why suddenly is it attacking buildings when up to this point it's only been attacking aircraft?
Well, these buildings are high enough where it could be maybe confusing them for aircraft.
Like they resemble aircraft?
Well, they're just high enough they're high up in the sky.
Okay.
Aren't these tall buildings?
Well, yeah. I mean, for a long time, the Empire State Building was one of the tallest. So
yeah, I mean,
all right. You ready for this?
Well, so before it could easily be that before where this bird was hanging out, there were no tall buildings. Then they would only occasionally come across an aircraft.
I guess. So, but keep in mind, this thing is said to be the size of an aircraft carrier.
Hey,
right?
Big Dig. Okay, size of an aircraft carrier.
As big as a battleship.
Oh, did you say that the first time?
Yeah, it's as big as a battleship.
Okay. Still much smaller than an aircraft carrier, right?
Yeah,
Are
smaller.
they similar?
I think aircraft carriers are still bigger. But
yeah.
Needed to say, what I would be interested in seeing the comparison of a battleship to, say, the Empire State Building.
Yeah, I mean, the Empire State Building is probably bigger.
But by how much? Like a battleship still has to be fairly big on, like, if you were to put the two next to each other.
Like if the boat is standing up?
Yeah, like say you have the boat is vertical. Just size-wise, because I'm curious as to how big this bird is on the building. I'm sure they didn't probably get the proportions quite right. Like, that bird landing on the building would probably take it down.
Well, birds have hollow bones. They're fairly lightweight.
This bird is from an antimatter galaxy.
Then it probably isn't made of matter at all.
Yeah, what would it be made of?
Yeah, but if it's not made of matter, it might not even have mass. How is it even?
Yeah.
How is it even using the air to flow above and below its wings to stay afloat? In flight.
How can it even exist within our galaxy if our galaxy is completely made of matter, right?
Yeah, I mean, they should have said it's from a different, like an antimatter dimension, because you can't just travel off into some other galaxy in the universe and there's no more matter. There's matter throughout the entire universe.
Right.
So, I think that whoever came up with this just wasn't very clever.
Well, I mean, here's the thing. I think they're just making shit up, because here comes the next part.
I mean, there's a giant bird attacking buildings in Manhattan. Yeah. They're just making it up.
So the climactic showdown takes place in Manhattan. I'm going to backtrack just a sentence here. When the gigantic bird attacks both the Empire State Building and the United Nations building. Next sentence. It is defeated. Immediately. It is defeated by, this is where they make up more bullshit. It is defeated
Spoiler alert.
by a special type of exotic atom, muonic atoms, deployed from the tail gun position of a B-25 bomber aircraft, which successfully collapses the creature's antimatter shield and allows missiles to hit and kill the monster.
There was an antimatter shield?
He apparently had an antimatter shield because he's from an antimatter galaxy. So does this antimatter shield mean that any matter that hits it immediately it destroys any matter that hits it? I think we're trying to look too much into this. Anyways,
a shield, yeah, I guess if the impact is strong enough that it would destroy whatever matter is at it, then it would destroy it. But if it's not shot at the antimatter shield strong enough, it would just maybe bounce off.
Maybe. I don't know how antimatter works.
I'm pro matter, so I've always considered myself pro matter. So I've never looked into.
Yeah, I would hope everybody in the world is pro matter.
Yeah.
Unless you got some of those people that are like the flat earther people. Do you think there's like an antimatter society where they're just
denying the existence of matter?
Yeah, they deny the existence of matter.
I would like to hear their argument for that.
I'd
like to hear the antimatter argument.
Well, anyways, the giant bird plummets into the Atlantic Ocean outside New York, and the last sight of it is a claw sinking beneath the ocean.
Oh.
So
it's not beneath the ocean.
What I need you to do real quick, Sean, is Google an image of the giant claw, because the biggest part of this movie was how absolute horseshit the bird effects were.
You like bad movies involving birds?
Just so happens that happened.
Oh God, this guy's awesome looking.
It's horrible looking.
No way.
It's just got a very crunched in, cruddy face. I really hope you're seeing the right images.
Yeah, I believe so. It's it sort of gives me I was going to say a mix between a turkey and a vulture, but I know there's something called a turkey vulture, and I don't know if that looks like this.
I don't know what they were trying to mimic.
They were trying to mimic something the likes of which we have never seen.
Yeah, for sure.
Oh, someone made so there's the image of the claw sticking out of the water like it's about to sink in, right?
Okay.
Someone made a version of that where it's giving us the finger.
Oh.
and it says the end. So, I would like
Also,
to say that you
also on
can't
the movie
sink.
poster, also on the movie poster, it's just an illustration, but the bird has grabbed the Empire State Building and cracked it in half.
Yeah, it's like snapped the top of it off, and it looks
Yeah,
like it's
you see
grabbing
that
it.
image?
Yeah, it looks like it's grabbing it in a way that it might plan to use it as a weapon toward the aircraft.
Perhaps towards all those planes that are clearly going to crash directly into it.
Oh
They
yeah,
have no,
they're going to
there's no
crash
time
either.
for them to maneuver.
They're crashing either directly into the bird's body or into the bird's antimatter shield, depending on
Yeah.
what part of the movie this is taking place.
Yeah. So to
How
say,
do they? First of all, I want to know how they carbon dated this bird in this short amount of time to
figure
nail it
out
down
it
to
was from
17 million
17
BC.
million BC. But the thing is also 17 million BC is like that's a fully like Earth related time frame,
Right.
and this thing is from an antimatter galaxy.
But
So
that's what we have to base everything on, right? I mean, you'll see plenty of movies
but how
that
can you
involve
how
characters.
can you carbon date something that's made of antimatter?
I don't know. That's why I was questioning it.
Yeah.
But you've seen plenty of movies involving space where, you know, someone that's from a completely different planet will say, I've been doing this for 20 years. It's like, well, what does a year mean to you? And then they'll
Right.
reference years that are used on Earth. And we're wondering, well, what does that mean to you? Are you just only saying that because the person you're talking to is from Earth and they know what this year means? Or do you have another system of your own?
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
they just like to
how
use
many
it to make it-
how many planets out there do you think travel around their suns the exact same rate that we travel around ours?
I mean, you know, based on how many planets and stars there are, that I
there's a decent chance that
there has to be a very
gotta be
good chance that
something
there are
very
several
similar or
examples of this
close.
happening.
Right.
But then again, those planets also have to have life on
Well,
them.
they're probably the only other planets out there that do, because it's the perfect setup.
Well, no,
you know.
going around their star in the same number of days does not equal what is
No,
necessary.
It was more so the distance to the sun and everything, how everything lined up to just be like the right setting for the life, like life on the planet and everything like we have.
It's called the Goldilocks zone.
Is that it?
Yep, that's what they call it in the science community. They search for other planets that are in the Goldilocks zone in relation to their star and the size and how quickly it moves, and of course they try to figure out what the atmosphere is like to see if it's
right
possible for humanity to someday visit and inhabit.
Gotcha.
Another planet.
Well, Sean, that was the giant claw. Not much to that one.
The special effects alone, to me, makes it worth a watch.
Yeah, so that's the biggest thing about this movie is the special effects are absolute garbage. Let's see.
But would you say it's better or worse than that other movie that you talked about?
Birdemic.
Birdemic.
To be honest, there's probably a decent chance this movie has better acting.
Probably.
I don't know. Birdemic should not be as bad as it is for one, the year it came out alone. Like, so with the available technology and available like special effects stuff that you could do in the day, this movie probably did a better job than what was available for Birdemic and what they ended up with. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
So
Birdemic had way more at its disposal potentially to use to make a much better movie.
That movie's only 11 years old, where this one is what
70 something.
Almost 70 years old.
It came out in 50 something, right?
57. So it's like it's edging closer to 70 years old at this point.
Yeah, it's 64 maybe.
Yeah,
something 63.
So
like that.
Yeah, if you look at the technology available at the time, this movie did a better job than that, just based on availability. But it's just the bird is horrible looking.
Oh, it looks terrible.
It's horribly awful. But all right, so that was the giant claw. Not much to talk about there. So we'll jump into the next movie, Sean, if you don't want to do any of yours.
Well, let me I'll read the synopsis for fear.com, and you can let me know if you think it's something we want to expand on.
Right.
When 4 bodies are discovered among the industrial decay and urban grime of New York City, brash young detective Mike Riley teams up with ambitious Department of Health researcher Terry Houston to uncover the cause behind their violent and inexplicable deaths. The only common factor shared by the victims? Each died exactly 48 hours after logging on to fear.com.
I mean, it might just be bad because it's bad, not bad because it might be entertainingly bad.
Yeah.
Hold on a second. All right.
Yeah, I mean, even the synopsis wasn't giving me much. Hobgoblins, a group of tiny lethal creatures, end up going on a terrifying rampage after escaping from a studio vault.
Okay.
So, I mean, we could read into the actual plot and like more of the story to maybe see if there's more there. But this was a 1988 movie.
Well, or we can do the next movie I was going to do is Night of the Lepus, which
Let's do it.
This is a movie about rabbits killing people.
Oh, like Monty Python.
Yeah, maybe it came out in 1972.
Yeah, Python was in the 1970s, but I don't know what year.
Who came up with it first? All right, let's just do this. So it's based off of a book. First off, called The Year of the Angry Rabbit, which I think is a way worse title.
Yeah.
Because they literally just took like The Year of the Rabbit, but then just put angry in front of it. All right. So let's jump into this. Rancher Cole Hillman seeks the help of college president Elgin Clark to combat thousands of rabbits that have invaded the area after their natural predators, coyotes, were killed off. To me, that means just introduce more coyotes back into the environment.
Easier said than done.
Well, I mean, maybe. All right, so Elgin asks for the assistance of researchers Roy and Gary Bennett because they respect Cole's wish to avoid using cyanide to poison the rabbits. Okay. Roy proposes using hormones to disrupt the rabbits' breeding cycle and take some rabbits for experimentation. One is injected with a new serum believed to cause birth defects. That's just believed to cause them. We're gonna put something random in this animal. It might do this, maybe. We don't really know what it's gonna do.
Well, is this an attempt to kill the rabbit? Are they trying to think of a more humane way to kill a rabbit versus using cyanide? Is that what's happening here?
I think what they're doing is they're just trying to take the current rabbits that are there and maybe just make them sterile.
Okay.
But causing birth defects doesn't necessarily make something sterile. I guess it just means that they're going to keep having babies, but the babies are going to be deformed or die.
Well, maybe they'll make it so that the baby rabbits will have less of a chance of surviving in the end, and maybe that's what their hope is. They'll still put the mother through the trauma of childbirth,
right?
But then just engineer it in a way so that a lot of the rabbits die off right away.
Yeah. Which is, I mean, I think the more humane thing is, and probably cheaper in the long run thing, is to just get more coyotes into the environment.
Well, I think what we need to do is we need to take a page out of the book of a lot of the way we handle things we don't want humans to do is we should criminalize rabbit sex.
Well, we haven't criminalized human sex.
No, I know, but we will, we criminalize a lot of things and just put people in jail for it. But if we criminalize rabbit sex in an attempt to stop, to limit the rabbit population, then we'll just have overrun, overcapacity rabbit jails.
Right.
And we don't want that.
This is okay. However, the Bennett's daughter, Amanda, loves the injected rabbit. So she switches it with one from the control group. Amanda is then given the injected rabbit as a pet, but it soon escapes. That is very confusing. She loves it, so she swaps it out with one from the control group, but then it is given to her. Oh, because they must have been like, oh, this one's from the control group. We're going to give it to you as a pet. That makes sense. Okay, sure. I get it now.
So it was an unaltered rabbit.
What they thought was an unaltered rabbit.
Oh.
Because she switched it out for a control group rabbit. They thought they gave her one of the control group rabbits.
Oh, and she swapped.
But they gave her the injected one, which is the one she liked. For some reason, this particular one was the one she liked the most, and it happened to be the one that got injected. So, while inspecting the rabbits' old burrowing areas, Cole and the Bennetts find a large, unusual animal track. Oh, did I skip something? Oh, no, yeah. So I said she's given the
Sadly, no.
injected rabbit. She's given the injected rabbit as a pet, but it soon escapes. Soon. Not yet, though. It soon escapes. Meanwhile, Cole's son Jackie and Amanda, okay, he's got, oh no, Amanda's from earlier, okay, go to the gold mine to visit Jackie's friend Billy, but find him missing.
I like the term finding something missing.
Yeah, how do you find someone missing?
You just don't find them.
Unless you find somebody that's currently in the state of missing something, like they're like I missed my loved one.
Yeah, oh, I miss Ken Griffey Jr.
Like, oh, I just found him missing.
I miss Barry Bonds.
Let's not go back to the baseball
I'm
stuff.
sorry, but I'm getting my dog is on the floor next to me.
Yeah.
And there have been several very audible farts coming out of her. And it's confusing me every time.
How is it confusing you? How does it confuse you?
I've never witnessed this before with her ever.
Okay. All right, so they find Billy missing. Jackie finds more of the animal tracks on Billy's shed. On his shed?
On the shed.
Yeah.
Like on the roof?
Apparently. While Amanda goes into the mine and runs into an enormous rabbit with blood on its face. Screaming in terror, she runs from the mine. Okay. Mutilated.
At least she didn't run upstairs.
Upstairs in the mine?
Yeah. And close the door to her bedroom.
I have no idea what you mean by that, but
it's the horror movie trope. They don't run out of the house; they run upstairs so that there's less place to escape.
She was in a mine. She may have run.
I know
home and locked herself in a room. Matt. We don't know that. They don't say that in here. We'll have to watch the movie to
she's
find
in a
out.
mine. Maybe there was a joke in that she's running upstairs into her bedroom in the mine.
Was that what you were going for?
I don't know. Okay. It's better than your bird pun.
My bird pun was unintentional.
Yeah.
Mutilated bodies begin to crop up around town, including those of Billy, a truck driver, and a family of 4. I don't know why that's weird to me. Like, we get Billy, and then just some random truck driver, and this family of 4 over here, too.
Yeah, family of 4.
Yeah.
Yeah. They were hitchhiking. The truck driver picked them up, maybe.
Elgin, the Bennetts, Cole, and Cole's 2 ranch hands, Frank and Judd, we're introducing more characters, go to the mine.
This late?
To go to the mine and try to kill the rabbits with explosives, as you do. As Elgin and Cole set charges on top of the mine, I don't know why they would do it on top of the mine, Roy and Frank enter the shaft to get pictorial evidence. Yep.
Shaft, pictorial. They're going for something here.
It's always a good idea for, like, in a movie, like, all right, we're going to set all the explosives up. You guys go in there and do something for a while.
Yeah, I'm predicting.
Nothing bad will ever happen.
I'm guessing the folks that are going in to get pictorial evidence are going to end up getting crushed.
Let's find out. Outside, a rabbit surfaces and attacks Judd before Gary can shoot it. Do we know who Gary is at this point? Like, is this another new person? No, the truck driver's dead.
Is Gary one of the family of 4?
I don't know who Gary is. I'm literally looking back through this to see if there's a Gary mentioned.
Find Gary.
Or is it Jerry? Because it's Gerry. It's probably Jerry.
That's probably Jerry.
Okay, so Roy and Jerry Bennett. Okay, yep, okay. That was said earlier. Roy and Frank escape the rabbits in the mine and run outside as the explosives are detonated. Okay, they made it.
They made it? Okay, I was wrong.
Still, put themselves in unnecessary danger.
It was a very unnecessary close call.
Like, why don't you wait, blow the sons of bitches up, dig them out, and then take pictures of these giant rabbits after the fact?
Yeah,
or just don't
let me venture in while they're still alive. It can very easily kill me, and while explosives are being charged outside the mine, let me try to get a picture of them then. I'm not going to wait until the mine collapses in and crushes them, and we can remove their bodies from the rubble. Much better idea.
Well, Sean, let me tell you, the explosives fail to kill the rabbits.
Oh, how many are we talking here? Because the one ran away from one. The woman ran away from one giant rabbit with blood.
Apparently, there was a rabbit that got injected. That one escaped. Apparently, that somehow got giant, and then made other giant rabbits.
Well, so the injected
like a
rabbit
vampire situation.
What happened was whatever it was injected with caused it to become giant.
Right.
My guess is maybe before it became giant, it mated with at least one other rabbit.
And then that other rabbit had another rabbit, like it birthed a giant rabbit.
Well, it probably birthed, I'm guessing, to be as realistic as possible in this scenario.
Right.
The rabbit was injected with something. It then ran off, mated, baby rabbits were all born, and then the growing took effect of whatever was injected in the first rabbit, and they all became giant after the fact. Because you can't, I mean, a giant rabbit is not going to be able to mate with a regular-sized rabbit, and a regular-sized rabbit is not going to be able to birth giant rabbits.
I mean, you'd hope that a giant rabbit wouldn't try to mate with a regular-sized rabbit. That would be very brutal.
That'd be something that they would want a pictorial of, for sure. Do they have a scene of a giant rabbit attempting to mate with a regular rabbit?
I have no idea. If I'm guessing, I feel like they do not explain at all why there's multiple giant rabbits.
Now, you said the first one they saw had blood around its mouth.
Yes.
The first giant rabbit, right?
Yes.
So maybe you're right. Maybe it is like a vampire type of a situation. Like it became like it just started attacking other rabbits, and it would bite onto those rabbits, and then those rabbits would then be affected with the same serum that was put in the first rabbit. Possibly. And they all become giant and bloodthirsty. Sorry.
So I'm wondering if one of the rabbits like bit a person, but didn't kill them. Like, what would happen to that person?
Become a giant rabbit.
Turn into a giant rabbit.
Yeah. This is even a more tragic story. These are humans that have become giant rabbits, and they can no longer speak. They can't like cry out to their loved ones. They're trapped in
this.
They
still like have all their same like cognitive capacity.
Yes, but they can't speak. They can only, speak in rabbit, whatever that is. They can only squeal and growl or whatever they do.
Didn't we have a conversation like that where it's like being trapped in an animal, but you could still like have all your same thoughts and everything? But I thought we had a conversation something similar to that earlier on.
It may or may not have been with me. I don't know.
All right. I do have other conversations.
I have other conversations with other people and or rabbits.
Occasionally.
So it could have been with any of them.
All right. So the explosives fail to kill the rabbits, and that night they attack Cole's ranch, killing Judd, while Cole, Frank, Jackie, and Cole's housekeeper, Dorothy, escape into the storm shelter. Well, that's not the best place to go in a rabbit attack. That's where you go if there's a storm.
Right.
This isn't a rabbit attack shelter.
Now, rabbits, if there's a big storm, the rabbit's instinct would be to completely run away, would it not?
Or burrow.
It would burrow.
Go into their rabbit holes.
But that's where water would gather if there was a storm, right?
Yeah, I guess. I don't know. I mean, we're talking giant rabbits here.
I'm thinking of this as though there is an actual storm, and they shouldn't be going toward the storm shelter.
Right.
But there's no storm.
Well, yeah, but they're just thinking, oh, it's a storm shelter. It should also be able to protect us from rabbit attacks.
I mean, if it has a lock on the door.
Well, if it does have a lock on the door, you know what the rabbits need to do?
Chew through it?
No, they do what they actually do, which is the next sentence, which is the rabbits make their way to the general store. They get some tools to break that lock.
To pick up a hammer and a crowbar or a chisel or something.
Yeah. So they make their way to the general store, killing shopkeeper Mildred and eating and killing everyone else they find in the small town of Galanos.
Well, hold on.
Before taking refuge in the buildings for the day.
The giant rabbits need to take refuge?
Apparently, they're taking refuge.
Well, I bet you because their thing got blown up. The mine.
Oh, maybe.
Got blown up.
Yeah, they didn't have anywhere else to stay.
Here's my question. What is wrong with poor Mildred?
I don't know why, because they killed her?
All they did was kill Mildred, but they ate and killed everyone else. Like, Mildred was spoiled? Poor Mildred wasn't tasty enough?
Apparently not.
What if the rabbits let her be an example, and then all these?
Well, and it's I think it's interesting that the rabbits ate and killed everyone else. Why have we even pointed out that Mildred was killed? Like, we would assume, Mildred was also killed because they killed everyone and ate everyone.
Well,
also,
I think she started it off. They went to the general store and she was the shopkeep. Hey, Kevin. She was the shopkeep. And so she was like the first of the members of the town that got killed.
I guess. But also,
so did they all go into the store?
I don't. I at this point, I have no idea how many rabbits there even are.
Is it like so? It's like if like a family of 5 go into a convenience store. They're going in for a specific reason, but all the kids run around like, oh yeah, go pick out some snacks you like. Like where all the other rabbits just kind of browsing. Maybe one of them got in line to use the ATM. A lot of them are picking out candy and chips, and some go to the soda aisle to pick out a couple bottles of soda.
I don't think there's ATMs in the 70s.
Okay, let's bring this back to reality then. Sorry. There can't be ATMs in this scenario. I apologize.
I was only half listening to you anyway. I heard ATMs and then just checked out.
You just heard ATMs and you're like, I don't think they were ATMs. Whatever you happen to have heard, you would have shot it down. Like in the 70s, they didn't have that.
I heard something about like a family going into a store. I didn't necessarily know you meant this was happening now. It's just that a family of 5 goes into the store. The kids start running around. Something about ATMs. I really wasn't paying any attention to what you were saying.
Okay.
I feel I should be honest, right?
I mean, that's good.
Yeah. Also, rabbits. So the rabbits are killing and eating people. So is this mutation? This mutation also somehow makes rabbits able to, or first off, desire to eat meat, and second off, have the ability to even digest that.
They're fast learners. Clearly.
Okay.
If they can make their way into the general store to find tools to pry open a storm shelter, and then for some reason follow that up by getting enraged enough to eat and kill every member of the town, they're probably able to just quickly figure out how to digest meat.
Maybe. So after these,
but not using ATM because those didn't exist.
Right. After these rabbits have now they've taken refuge in the buildings for the day. All right. In the morning, Gary and Amanda leave to avoid the coming press. They're worried about the press. In the situation. I don't want to talk to the press.
Yeah, I'll look like an idiot.
We need to go deal with these rabbits or whatever they're trying to do at this point. They leave to avoid the coming press, but get stuck along a sandy stretch of road. Roy and Elgin update the sheriff Cody on the situation, and after realizing the rabbits have escaped the mine, call the National Guard. It's a pretty uneventful day because as night falls, the rabbits leave Galanos and continue their rampage, making their way to the main town of Ajo and eating and killing everyone in their path. Must be like just a ton of people in the way.
So the day is uneventful for who?
I mean, the day was uneventful for rabbit attacks.
Okay.
Like during the day, they're just like, oh, we found out they escaped that place, and let's get the National Guard here. Like it just seems like there wasn't a whole lot that happened.
So what? The National Guard showed up, and they're like, "Yeah, there's nothing going on here. We're gonna."
No, they just called. They just called the National Guard. That's all they've done.
No, they're not there yet. We're thinking
they're not there yet. No, throughout that day, all that happened was they realized. So during the day, all that happened was Gary and Amanda got their car stuck while trying to avoid talking to people.
That sandy stretch of road.
Yep, that those sandy roads that are everywhere. Roy and Elgin updated the sheriff on the situation, and then once they realized that the rabbits escaped the mine, they called the National Guard. So at this point, they assumed that the rabbits had been killed until they'd gone to the mine and realized that they'd gotten out. So maybe that's why it seemed uneventful. And Gary and Amanda just leaving to avoid the press is just at that point they look suspicious as hell.
Exactly.
Like, why wouldn't you want to talk to the press about this? This is an amazing thing. Like, you're going to be famous. You guys fought giant rabbits and won. Like, this will be a big news story.
This has to be pretty local press, I would think.
For some reason, I thought you were going to be like, this has to be a fake story.
Oh, like this. Like we're back on the internet's funniest stories.
Yeah, this can't really have happened.
The National Guard doesn't deal with rabbits.
Right. So as night falls, the rabbits leave that town. They go to the next town, killing everybody in their path. Cole proposes using a half-mile wide stretch of electrified railroad track as a fence to contain and kill the rabbits. Confusing how you can use a stretch of railroad track to contain something. You can keep them from going past it. You can keep them from going past it, but can you contain them? I mean, you'd have to rip up the track and like loop it around.
Yeah, you have to circle it around where they are and use it as like a pen.
Yeah. They recruit a large group of people at a drive-in theater to help herd the rabbits with their car lights. Because you know how rabbits are afraid of car lights?
They're drawn to car
They're
lights.
drawn
Yeah.
to them? Okay.
Yeah.
They're like moths.
Yeah,
Only giant rabbits, though.
They just start following. I mean, I would think that based on these rabbits, they would be drawn to the people inside the cars and just chasing after the cars, trying to get to the people to eat them and kill them. Like the lights would have nothing to do with it. What do you think?
I think that this is what happened, right?
Sure.
I don't know. I don't know what the light. I don't know why what the lights would do. This
is
part
it like
seems
a cat to a? You think it's like a cat to a laser pointer? You know, it just jumps after it.
I mean, maybe, but then that would you're just putting yourself in danger because then the rabbit's just going to come straight at the headlights. The headlights aren't going to be able to jolt off in a different direction really quickly. So you're just like, come here, rabbit, attack me. That's basically what you're saying at that point.
Let me point. I mean, the lights are always pointed in front of the car, so maybe because a cat doesn't ever go after the actual laser pointer itself. It goes to
whatever it's pointed. Yeah, whatever
it's pointed to. Yeah.
Yeah. I guess okay. But headlights also don't shine like a laser pointer does, where it would be a pinpoint on a very specific location. So really, the rabbits, if they're just going to run towards where the light is, they're just going to like go attack an entire like forest or something. That's all lit up.
Yeah, because that light spreads out and gets bigger as it gets further away.
So I have a feeling so this is the whole sentence because there was a comma where I stopped. It says they recruit a large group of people at a drive-in theater to help herd the rabbits with their car lights, with the assistance from the machine gun fire of the National Guard. So noise plus light equals rabbits go a certain direction. Rabbits
go where they're told.
You know how rabbits are known to, when they run away from something, to go in a straight line
all the time.
They never jolt off different directions. You know. Yeah,
there are a lot of rabbits in my there are a lot of rabbits in my neighborhood and the previous neighborhood I lived. Exact behavior.
Yeah, they always just run in a straight line. That's what they're known for. That's the one thing rabbits are truly known for is running in a straight line.
And if I came across multiple rabbits and startled them all and they all scattered away, they all went the same direction toward the same exact spot.
They all morphed into one ran the same line and everything. Anyways, thousands of rabbits make their way to into the trap. Thousands at this point.
There's thousands of giant rabbits now.
Thousands of giant rabbits. And as far as I know, this has taken place over days.
A couple days, right?
Days.
2 days?
Like, rabbits are known to multiply quickly, but let's be serious here.
Well, this started off with a very manipulated, a rabbit injected with something.
Right. So if this does happen where that rabbit bites a rabbit and then that rabbit mutates and becomes large as well, still, for you to become that large that quickly, the effects it would do to your body would be like instant death. Can you imagine if you grew to 100 times your size in a matter of like a day? Just stretching your body out and everything. It would do too much traumatic stuff to your body. So this is insane. But so if let's just say this scenario, right? The one injected rabbit bit a rabbit. That rabbit also became mutated. Okay. Now those rabbits are biting other rabbits. They're also becoming mutated. So giant rabbit biting a normal sized rabbit in a way to only infect it but not kill it.
Yeah.
How do you do that? Like, you just have to scrape its skin slightly. They're gonna maul it to death so quickly, but with a bite.
Yeah,
how do you take a nibble off a tiny rabbit?
Either all these rabbits have like little chunks taken out of their backs, or like maybe their feet are getting bitten off. Like Lucky Rabbit's feet are landing everywhere.
Right.
Or they're just sort of somehow very casually, very carefully, just breaking the skin enough of the little rabbit.
Right.
Because they seem to not eat each other, right? The rabbits are only eating and killing humans. They're not eating and killing rabbits. So
so it's not rabies.
It's not rabies. But what's their goal? They must be intentionally mutating the other rabbits then.
I mean, if there's thousands of at this point?
Yeah, it's like they know this is going to do this. So, because if they're not eating and killing other rabbits, what's the goal in making the other rabbits gigantic? They're biting them in order to make them grow. So they know that that's what's going to happen. So they're going to bite them in a way that wouldn't kill them because that would be pointless. Because otherwise they would just be eating and killing all the other rabbits, and there would only be one giant rabbit, really, right? Because none of the others would have had the chance to grow.
Yeah, I'm curious if they explain at all how the other rabbits, like how it all happened.
I'm sure. Probably. My guess is it's a throwaway joke about how rabbits multiply, and there was one giant rabbit, and now there's thousands, right?
Because the incubation rate, or whatever you want to call it, of a incubation rate. It's not incubation, but
the term.
I don't know how long is the term for like a rabbit? How long does a rabbit carry to term before it gives birth?
Now we're asking about regular normal rabbits here.
Well, true, but here's the thing: like it has to be a normal rabbit that gives birth originally, because the first rabbit to give birth to the other rabbits wouldn't be mutated. If the mutation is only through birth, then the first rabbit to get pregnant would not have been mutated in any way.
You think?
So therefore, the first rabbit would have to have a normal birth, unless I guess the baby developed faster because it was mutated.
Wait a minute.
That's also the play on it.
Are we off of them biting each other
I'm saying like this is because I said since they didn't explain it, and you said, well, that was probably just a throwaway thing of like, oh, rabbits multiply so fast.
Sure.
So I was saying if that was the way that they got that many mutated rabbits instead of the biting theory, then I would assume that the first rabbit to get pregnant would have had to have been a non-mutated rabbit.
So here's what it did. It just went ahead and just mated with a ton of rabbits. And then all those rabbits that were born as a result were mutated rabbits.
So in that scenario, we're also assuming that the injected rabbit is male because we never determined that.
That's what I'm assuming. Yes.
Okay.
Hey, Rolando.
If the original mutated rabbit was female, it would be a much different story, because then it would have to have gotten pregnant, had its first babies. Then if those babies were male, then they could go out and so. Let's just assume that this is fiction, and they probably didn't explain it at all.
Well,
I'm not going to assume it's fiction. I know it's fiction.
If the injected rabbit was, I mean, I don't know a whole lot about rabbits mating, but if the injected rabbit were female and became gigantic, I don't know that any normal sized male rabbit would be able to get the job done.
Well, here's the thing too, though, is that the rabbit wasn't originally like. It didn't become gigantic immediately, so it could have made it before becoming gigantic. It's all it's. But
seemingly, this whole thing is still taking place just over a matter of a couple days. So, Either way, there's no way something happened. A lot of things happen really fast. Either a lot of rabbits getting busy and birthing a ton of rabbits that then grow, or there's a lot of rabbits biting other rabbits. Yeah. For the goal of mutating them all. I don't know.
Yeah,
I like how they take refuge.
Yeah, they also take refuge. So anyways, thousands of rabbits make their way to the trap. we're still not done with the movie yet.
Oh yeah.
They are shot and electrocuted. That's it. At the film's ending.
Oh my gosh.
At the film's ending, Cole tells Roy that normal rabbits, as well as coyotes, have returned to the ranch.
Oh, because that's going to be important at that moment, right?
Yep. So here's the thing: if they wouldn't, so this is what's really shitty, right? The whole reason any of this started is because the coyotes had been basically killed off, right?
Yeah.
Then all this chaos happens, and then coyotes just return. So if they would have just waited about
a little
2
bit.
fucking days. Because this movie didn't take place over like a month. They would have waited a couple days. Coyotes would have came back, and none of this would have happened. They did this to themselves.
Hundreds, if not thousands, of people would not have been killed.
Yep.
Poor Mildred would still be running the general store.
Poor Mildred, and all those people wouldn't have had to miss their movie. That's the truth.
And the mine would still be intact.
Yeah, the indescript mine, just the mine.
The mine.
Like how it's always just a mine. They never explain what's being mined.
If it's still an active mine, if it's no longer in use.
Somebody tell us, is there a movie out there where they actually explain what the fuck they do inside this mine? It's always a mine somewhere but they never talk about what happens in the mine. It's just a mine. Yeah, it's the city mine. Yeah,
So
or the town
wait,
mine.
are you asking them to give an example of any movie where they explain what a mine is for in a movie, or
Well,
this? Are you
explain what
asking?
that specific mine is for. Like, if there's a mine in a movie, half the time they don't say like what that mine is for, like what they're doing in that mine. I mean, obviously that exists in movies, but I'm just saying.
Sometimes they specify it's the old abandoned mine, which is better, but it's
Yeah,
still
but
not
still,
giving us all
what
the
is the
information.
abandoned? Like, what did they do in the abandoned mine? Was it a coal mine? Was it a salt mine? Was it a
Could have been an iron mine,
diamond mine? A gas mine?
a gas mine.
Yeah, mine for gas.
like for oil. What? What kind of gas? We've got some pockets of gas down here in the mine.
Let's go get them.
Let's harvest them in this sack.
So that was Night of the Lepus, which was I thought they had also known as rabbits. Which to me honestly might have been a better title. I mean, the title Night of the Lepus tells you right then and there that it takes place over one night.
Over a night, yeah.
The taglines on the poster are: how many eyes does horror have? How many times will terror strike?
Once.
Those
are very stupid taglines. That's nothing specific about rabbits at all.
No, it's not. But the answers are 2,000 at least, because it says thousands of, so that means more than 2,000, right? If it's thousands of,
thousands would suggest more than 1,000. I would say more than 2,000 minimum. 2,000 minimum.
So there's at least 4,000 eyes. That's how much horror, how many eyes horror has, and how many times will terror strike? According to this movie, terror will strike just that one time.
Well, it depends. Do you count each rabbit attack as terror striking? Because then you're looking at
the entire event as as
terror
the
striking.
terror. The terror struck. The entire event was the terror.
Okay. Per town, each town that got struck, run down could be one.
So 2 towns were fully struck, plus the original attack.
So 3 towns.
So at least 3. And then if you count all the terror that happened between the towns as well, maybe.
Hey, Luz, Stella.
Quite a bit of terror striking, apparently. There was a little bit more in here, which I thought was interesting. At one point, I was reading something about the effects. It had a pretty it had a decent cast in it.
Oh, really? Who do we got?
Well, see, this might not be people that you necessarily know, but like Janet Leigh was in it. She was a pretty big Hollywood name. Stuart Whitman.
What year was this one again?
72. Yeah.
72.
DeForest Kelley, for anybody who is a Star Trek fan, he was the medical officer in the original Star Trek series. But basically, I had read something about how the rabbits, what they did was they obviously filmed real rabbits on miniature sets.
Yeah.
But for all the scenes that involved a rabbit attacking somebody, it was a person in a rabbit suit.
Oh, awesome.
So I want to watch that. So I want to see how bad that looks.
I'm just picturing like a mall Easter bunny,
That would be way funny. It's upright. It's like
yeah, like it's up on its 2 legs.
That would be amazing.
That would be awesome.
So yeah, that was Night of the Lepus, a movie about rabbit attacks, to very much so simplify it.
Yeah. Well, it doesn't sound like there was much else.
Yeah. So that's that. I mean, what else can we say?
I hope so I hope at the end when they're like, hey, the coyotes are coming back, I hope it is like, oh my God, we could have avoided all this horrific stuff if we just waited. I hope it wasn't just like, oh, hey, check it out. Things are going to be better now.
It's like the end of The Mist. I don't know if you've seen that at all.
No.
It's the ending of the movie is different than the ending of the book, apparently. But at the end of The Mist, they're like, so basically, like, this mist rolls into the town. All these monsters come and like are in the mist, and they are killing everybody within the mist. So if you stay outside the mist, you're fine.
Sure.
So there's all these people are held up in like a grocery store together, as the mist kind of rolls in, and then eventually this group escapes. I think and they end up that's no longer a safe place to stay. They all get in a vehicle. They get the hell out of here. They get the hell out of there. I think the vehicle runs out of gas on the side of the road as the mist is kind of rolling in. They're like, well, we're screwed. So the dude, one guy had a gun and he had just enough bullets to kill everybody but one person in the car. So the dude kills everybody, including his son, his small child, and then steps out of the car to basically just kill me. Let the monsters take me, because what else can we do? And as that happens, the army rolls up. Oh. Basically, they've taken back over. They're winning the battle. So he basically kills his kills his kid and kills all these people, and then he has to just live with that.
So he was just killing them, so to avoid having so they wouldn't have been attacked by the monsters.
Yeah, so they wouldn't have to suffer being killed by the monsters, and then he gave himself up, sacrificed himself to the monsters as the army
shows up.
Yep, and a bunch of the people from the grocery store were in the back of one of the vehicles, they had all been saved as well.
Oh,
so it's kind of that simple that thing of I didn't have to do this. All these people, all these people died, and it never would have had to happen. And
about a minute later, we would have been, all of us would have been saved.
But the coyotes that came back were also mutated.
Oh, they mated with the mutated rabbits.
Oh, it's a weird rabbit-coyote hybrid.
Yeah.
Something the world
Raboti
didn't need.
A Kayabit?
I don't like either of those.
You don't like I like Kayabit more than
Kayabit's
whatever the heck other one
than what was it? Rabioti?
Raboni? A Raboti.
Raboti? Yeah. Kayabit? Is that what you said?
Kayabits.
Kayabits. Almost sounds like a word you would hear in a really crappy kung fu movie.
Hey, Jeff, whoever you are.
I haven't been paying attention to anybody in the chat, so I apologize if there has ever been anybody in here that didn't that I didn't say hello to. I was reading stories the whole time.
I know.
So next time Sean will read all the stories, so I can pay attention to the chat.
Why not?
But yeah, so those were our movies: The Giant Claw, and also known as, I believe, The Mark of the Claw, and Night of the Lepus, also known as Rabbits.
Man, they didn't ever like to really just settle on one title and leave it at that, did they? Back then?
There was always multiple titles for movies. Let's see if the third movie that I was looking at doing had multiple titles. Nope, it was just The Swarm.
Oh.
And the movie poster, it says The Swarm, and then underneath it in smaller print, is coming.
That's the best tagline out of all those movies, though.
Yeah, probably. So this was that. I mean, we're not going to get to that movie today because we're over an hour already. But that was a movie about a bunch of a bee attack, a bunch of bees.
I mean, it makes sense. What else?
Yeah.
What else would you have a swarm about?
Swarm of locusts, maybe.
No, that would just be Exodus.
Swarm of buffalo.
A swarm of buffalo.
Yep. Just start adding swarm to things that aren't called swarms when they're in groups. But yeah, so there you go, people. That was our Halloween episode revisited. Even though we've talked about obviously other horror movies within random parts of the year,
not surrounding Halloween. Yeah,
not surrounding Halloween. So maybe we should just we should probably start doing this around every major holiday. We can do
just horror movies.
Well, not necessarily horror movies, but like holiday related movies. So we can do some Thanksgiving movies next, and then we'll do some Christmas movies coming up.
Well, we know that the two holidays are going to have the largest to choose from are Halloween and Christmas.
True.
I don't know how many Valentine's Day themed movies there are, or 4th of July themed movies there are, or Labor Day.
Oddly enough, here's the thing. Oddly enough, we probably could do horror movies for every major holiday because I think there kind of is one for every major holiday. There's Christmas-based horror movies. There's Valentine's Day horror movies.
Okay.
So we could do that.
We could.
Yeah, if anybody wants to let us know some of the worst either holiday-specific movies for any upcoming holidays or holiday-specific horror movies for any of the upcoming holidays that you guys want us to read through and talk about, we can do that.
highschoolfamous@gmail.com.
That's the one.
No
Soon,
hyphens, no
soon,
hyphens or anything.
hopefully at some point too, we can start looking into actually doing some stuff that we can put up on our Patreon where we'll watch a movie, and as we're watching the movie, we can do a commentary on it. I wouldn't want to do that for a regular episode just because if people listen to this in their car or at work or anything like that, you obviously wouldn't be able to watch along while we're doing that. So we'd want something that people could watch along in. So we'd probably, if we're going to do anything like that, we'll throw those up on our Patreon. If anybody wants to see those, we'll let you know once we actually do that. That might take a little bit more figuring out since we do this online. Those will be our special same place episodes, maybe, when we can both sit down in the same place.
Oh, yeah. That's a good point.
Yeah. So, but that's it. That's it. I mean, what more can we say about those two fabulous movies?
Which of the two would you be more excited to watch?
I think The Giant Claw is probably more unintentionally entertaining.
I think right now, I would say I might be more interested to see the bunny one.
Night of the Lepus.
Yeah. I want answers.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Although, the other one has a lot of questions raised.
I don't feel like we would get any of the answers that we want from either of these movies.
No. But I also want to find out what this whole antimatter dimension or antimatter galaxy thing is that this bird's from. So
right. I'm sure they don't explain it.
No, probably not. But yeah, give me the rabbit one.
Deal.
Yeah.
It's all yours.
Thanks.
Bye.
Bye.
We are on TikTok now, which makes us even cooler. HS Famous. Find us on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter at HSFamousPod. Email us directly at highschoolfamous@gmail.com. We have Patreon too, but you'll never go there. Altogether, our hearts beat as one.